Thank you. Thanks, Kristi. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for coming on.
So, Jennifer Hernandez, I'm a native Houstonian, and I got into the mortgage business early, right out of college. Luckily, I feel super blessed to have found a career by accident that I actually love. And it's just been a great 28 years as of actually a couple weeks ago, my 28-year anniversary. So yeah. So these are just some, when you asked me about the topic, we actually started with 10 and I said, hey, let's do 8. 10 is just so many because after 28 years and I've helped over 4,600 people finance homes, I can really lump them into 8.
Right.
Just kind of simple
Right.
reasons to just smooth transaction on both ends. The first one is start early. And this really applies to whether you're buying a house or buying a car or anything, right? But we're talking about houses today. Start early. If you start right before you need it, like ASAP, my hair's on fire, you just don't really. That's when I see most of the mistakes happen. Honestly, is in that amount of time. The second thing is just be prepared to submit documents. So I still get some people that think it's like the early 2000s. Remember when we had like no documents, like you could be breathing and you could get a loan? Like you need to be prepared to give stuff. Like
Right.
It is normal that we need to understand who you are. We need to see it on paper. So
what are some of the common things that documents they need to have ready?
Yeah, we need 2 of everything. So I just tell people, remember 222, and that's 2 months bank statements, banking, savings, 401k, whatever. 2 pay stubs. Most people are paid twice a month. So that's 2 pay stubs. And then 2 years W-2s or tax returns, depending on how you're paid. So really, yeah. So that's it, 222. And then a driver's license, of course, to comply with the Patriot Act. Yeah. So documents, just be prepared to give that stuff. There are some programs that erase some of those things. You'll pay a higher rate, but I'm talking about mainstream, like 95% of the people, okay, that are wanting, the lowest rate, the best terms, the lowest down payment. You got to give us stuff. You got to give us doc. And included in those docs means they're going to pull your credit. So, in fact, I want to just pause really quick because that right there in the document process, that's the biggest obstacle that keeps people from getting pre-approval is actually the fear, rightfully so, of, oh my gosh, it's going to nosedive my credit. That's actually not true. On my YouTube channel, Loan with Jen, I have a pretty big YouTube channel. I even have a video of one of my most watched videos is Truth About Credit Inquiries. And you can pull credit. One little isolated pull is not going to nosedive your credit. It's all the other stuff that you do. Like, let me get another credit card. Let me overcharge my balance. Let me, all those things really, let's pay late. That stuff really dives your credit. So,
and those are big no-nos in the home buying process.
Yeah. So it's definitely, it's great to be guarding your credit, but don't be fearful of taking that step because it's the only way that someone's going to advise you correctly. The rates and the terms are so driven by credit. So driven. So that's part of that document process and accuracy. And credit scoring with lenders is different than all the online, oh, I've got Credit Karma and I go to Experian and I've got CreditWise and all these places. Oh, my bank says I have a credit score of XYZ. That's true in their world, but in the mortgage world, your score is very different. And so you've got to go to a mortgage lender to get that score. So that's that let's get prepared early. That was, tip number 1, so that if there is some work to be done, we've got time to do it.
Right.
When your people come to me a week before wanting to buy a house because they're fearful about, that's why people wait, because they're fearful about the credit. So they don't do it until last minute. And then there's no time to fix anything. It just really puts them in a real hard position. So again, start early. I would say 6 months is a good starting early. Yeah. And then be prepared for documents and credit. That's number 2 to a smooth closing. Number 3 is communication. You should tell us everything. Some people not knowing, I don't think they mean to hide things from us, but they think it might not matter. You need to I just listen on calls. I just write stuff down, because even if you think it's insignificant, we're going to find out anyway. So if you're trying to cover something up for whatever reason, like, oh, I don't want to tell her I'm getting divorced. I mean, I can tell, there's different signs of different things, or, oh, I own a property, but she doesn't need to know about it because it's free and clear. No, yeah, we really, we really do. So we really try to pull things out of people. You just need to be transparent because, like I said, it's better than coming up when it's too late for recourse. So be prepared to be communicative about whatever it is about your background that we need to know. Just get it out early.
Yeah, that's important.
Yes. And number 4, when you're under contract, and this list was devised from really the mistakes that I've seen happen, whether it's my mistake, client's mistake, whatever. When you're under contract, I guess never assume anything. Clients assume the realtor is going to get me the contract, and the realtors assume the client's going to get me the contract. I'd rather get the contract 5 times, to be honest with you, than get a call that, oh yeah, I've been under contract for 10 days and we're out of the option period. I'm like, what?
Right. Yeah.
We just lost 10 days. So the number 1 tip is when you're under contract, that time clock starts ticking. You've got to be in communication with your lender. You've got to. Or narrow it down very quickly, because it really, and I know through your expertise as well, I mean, it really takes 30 days.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah. And I would say when the rates really started changing, I started seeing more and more contracts where the buyers were still shopping lenders 10 days into the contract being executed, which is, like you said, it's really too late by that point.
Yeah. I think that whether you're a realtor allowing your client to do that and not urging them and giving them good information, or you're a client and you're waiting, you really do put yourself in a bind on the timeline, on your choices, because then you're having to make a quick decision just under some pressure that you might not see your blind spots as easily.
Right.
That's what I'll say.
Yeah. And for our listeners, each state has their own deadlines and contracts, but in Texas, we have a loan financing deadline. And so if you're 10 days in and you only have a 21-day financing period, well, you've only got 11 days to get conditionally approved or ideally cleared to close. And that's just, it's too tough to do.
When shortcuts are expected or forced, something has to give. I mean, I really mapped everything out. In fact, I'll send it to you. It's a timeline of how to close in 25 business days, which is 30 calendar days. And I put each days that every part of the process that it takes. And it's okay, if we're going to close in 14 days, which one of these shortcuts, where are we going to shortcut? And it really pokes at the accuracy. And I would say this is true for any service that you're requiring. If you're not giving the people that are serving you enough time to do their diligence, that's okay. I mean, I don't mind working faster for people. I just need to know, which thing do you want me to shortcut on? The accuracy, the thoroughness, the customer service, what do you, I'm happy to go fast for you, but something has to give. And so just, be the more communicative you are. I find that the smoothest transactions, they started early. If I needed docs, I'm talking lightning speed. I had them within 5 business hours, fast. Those are my favorite clients, by the way, super fast. We love all of them, but the fast ones, because it helps us get to help you quicker. And then they were super communicative. Hey, Jen, okay, contract. What do I do now? That's what we want you to do. We want to coach you on the next steps. I do this all the time. I've done this over 4,000 times. I'm on my way to 5,000. Like, let me help you. Let me help hold your hand. So really relying on the experts that are there to help you in whatever you're doing. The people that hire you, you're amazing. So I'm sure you have some realtors that they just can't trust. They just from bad experiences before probably, and you've got it under control, right? But
Yeah.
then they're like still hanging on for dear life.
It usually is when we get those calls from agents who said, they're like, I have a hard time letting go. And I'm like, I totally understand it, but give us a few transactions. And then they're like, okay, they've got it. I can relax a little bit now.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's human nature. And we understand that. So, people have a hard time not totally letting go. I mean, you definitely need to always be on guard, but that's why referrals are so important, because you know that it's someone you can trust because someone else trusted them before you. Number 5, expect bumps in the road. I think sometimes, everyone wants it to go perfect. Definitely. And so do we. But there are going to be challenges. There's going to be something that happens that comes out of nowhere. And with the right team, with the right realtor, with the right lender, title company, you know as well as I do, that whole trifecta is so important.
Absolutely.
And that the smoothest transactions have been when it's a referred, the title company was known to the realtor. They had a great transaction. The realtor was referred to the client by somebody, and then they referred us, or, somehow all referrals, like we're all working hard to make sure that everything is super smooth, because we're all super invested on the outcome, which is we number one, I mean, it's probably ego driven, right? It's a sense of responsibility. Like, I can't let Kristi down. Kristi referred me somebody. I have to take more pride in this because I can't let Kristi down. It's your referral. So I'm going to go work super hard. And so that's the beauty of referrals, is that you're getting people that do business the right way because of that assumed relationship. Yeah,
definitely.
But do expect bumps in the road, because they do happen. But again, with the right team, it's, I want my clients to feel like blip on the screen, like behind the scenes. If I could just tell you stories that would be a whole other hour podcast of just bumps in the road, like life support, like you wouldn't believe, that no one ever knew. Yeah. Like my team, and I know it happens on the realtor side too. Like,
oh yeah. I would say, probably only 80% of files don't have, I said that wrong. 20% of files don't have some kind of little kink that you have to get over. And sometimes it's nothing major. It's just, extra little, like, okay, how do we maneuver this?
Mm-hmm. We had a week a few weeks ago, and we had maybe 3 or 4 in 1 week that just, we closed quite a few loans, and we had 3 or 4 in 1 week that, like, it was just pouring life support. We were like, oh my God. We got through all of it. But again, we're going to shield. That's our job, is to get solutions and make sure it goes smooth. But do expect bumps in the road when they happen, and just know that the right team will get you right through it. And number 6 is replying to requests quickly. Email and phone calls, and definitely, especially when you're buying a mortgage, you get on a robo dial list, because the credit bureaus sell your name to robo whatever. And so it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming. So save your person, your realtor, your lender, save their numbers in your phone so you know it's them. Check your voicemails, check your email, because if you ignore all that stuff, it really is not going to go well. And I know that it's just so easy to get overwhelmed. I know my Gmail is a hot mess, my personal email. But when I know I'm doing a transaction, like I'm actually doing a home equity loan right now, like I set my phone timer to go in there every day, because otherwise I'll ignore it for days.
Yeah.
But you can't do that when you're getting a house. Like, you have to be on top of
Yeah.
the correspondence coming your way.
Right. And I gave this tip a little while back, and let me know your thoughts, but we get so much junk email all the time, right? So I can totally understand how somebody can miss an email because they've got 100 other emails in their inbox. What if you actually just set up a generic Gmail like homebuying@gmail.com, and then that is the only email you use for this transaction. And once the transaction's over, in a few months, then you just shut down that email. But
Yeah.
at least then you're not going to miss anything because of all these other junk mail.
I think that's great. Another thing that you could do, my son is applying for college. And so, oh my gosh, there is so much junk mail, like colleges and universities. It's obnoxious. And I taught him how to make a rule to where emails from this domain go automatically into the folder. And I said, all you have to do is check the folders on the left. So you could do that as well,
Yeah, that's a
setting
great
up
idea.
a permission to where once my email, anything at Legacy Mutual goes to this folder, anything at so-and-so or this so-and-so realtor, and anything from title company. Once the emails of the people that are helping you, make that special folder and it goes over there. And then that little red dot with the circle comes up and you're like, oh, you've got mail. I've got mail. So you could do that as well. But I've seen some clients do the special email, and I think that's a great idea too, as long as you remember to go check it. That's the
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
That's
Good
the
point.
downside of that.
That's a
But
good
yeah,
point.
either of those would work. I would say either of those two that's a great idea for sure. And then, so that was number 6. And then number 7, no cash deposits, or lenders go crazy over cash. I'm just not even going to explain why. We just cash, like green cash under the mattress cash. I mean, a few $100s is okay, but when you start like, oh yeah, $10,000, just know that it's no bueno. It is not good. No movements, no cash movements, no big unsourced deposits, because we're going to ask you, and we have to be able to trail where that came from. No credit movements, job movements, just let us know. I mean, again, we're going to find out anyway, like the day of closing, when we call to verify your employment that one last time, and oh, Susie doesn't work here anymore. That has happened to me. But clients don't know. That's the thing, is they're like, oh, well, I mean, I moved jobs with more money. Why does it matter? It's like, because you're about to sign a federal loan application with wrong information. But
Right.
clients you don't buy a house every day. So just no movements at all. Credit, income, just check in with your lender. That's my advice on anything. Like, I love to get calls for the littlest, most insignificant thing, but to the client, it's not insignificant. They're following direction for sure. And number 8, really, I think is the most important one. And I mentioned it before, and that's really giving weight in your decision making to those referral sources. The realtor was referred, the lender was referred. Those are your 2 main advocates when buying a house. We're referred for a reason. You don't have to do 4,600 deals like I've done to be amazing. I mean, you could have done 10. It doesn't, like that. You've just done it before and it's been great. It doesn't matter how many, but you were referred by somebody. Really take those with a lot of weight. The nightmare stories that I've heard and clients are just trying to do what's best for them. I mean, I get it. Nobody wants to be taken advantage of, rightfully so. But the things I usually see blow up, or the save a deals that I get, the calls I get, like, hey, Jen, can you help us? My client, is usually when it was just some random generic.
Right.
Because the referral source, when you're referred, like, and I know you because we've, had lunch together and we have a lot of similar interests. I know you work this way as well. Like, I'm up at night. If your deal is going bad, I am not sleeping. But the person at that national company with a processor 5 states away, they're sleeping just fine. They're turning off the lights at the end of the day. Oh, I'm going to help Susie. Little Susie's, her deal's blowing up right now, but it's 5 o'clock and I got to go. They're sleeping just fine. It's very arm's length. But that person that was referred to you, like, that's like, I mean, that's like, take major pride in that. That's like an honor.
Right.
We're
Yeah.
going to go to bat and work harder and be more concerned and more vetted for you. So that's my very last, that I put it last instead of first because I want people to really remember it. Just really give it a lot of weight when you're making your decision because it really does matter.
It
really
does.
matter.
Yeah. I can't tell you how, I mean, just, I can't even stress the importance of having a good team, a great realtor, a great lender, a great title person. Because you're right. If there's a missing link in there, the transaction doesn't go as smoothly.